Hi everyone, I'm Alexandria. Um, as far as my experience goes in the field, I have worked in several different practice settings, such as an addiction clinic, in an overarching community-based organization, or effectiveness team for UPMC. Um, I have worked in EMS. I have worked as a case manager at a local rehabilitation hospital, and I have also worked as a domestic violence sexual assault advocate and medical advocate, specifically um, organizing institutions to create best practices, to connect on how we respond as a community to survivors. Um, in my most recent role, however, I've been navigating a role as a case manager at the hospital. And then this next step that I'm taking, I've been everywhere. I am going to be working at a private practice. And then in the fall, for my clinical experience, to expand a bit more, I'm going to be hosting a group therapy for adolescents who are struggling with substance use and or mandated because of an underage event to seek group counseling or group therapy for substance use issues. Very excited to continue to learn. I feel as if the social work field is a huge, broad spectrum of many different nuances in humanity, and it's indefinite in learning. And thus, I am one of those folks that needs newness and to learn all the time. And that's where I'm at right now. I just got home from work, so I'm a little bit flighty. I had a pretty long day at the hospital, but I do apologize. As far as my goals go in developing my skills as a clinical social worker, I think that there is oftentimes a discrepancy on how we take these lofty, beautiful theoretical approaches and interventions and integrate those with clients. So as me being, I'm a mindfulness practitioner, I teach Reiki and learn Reiki. I practice Reiki. I teach yoga. And for myself, I navigate gratitude journaling every day. And I also practice those mindfulness interventions for myself. And would like to sort of integrate that kind of work and self-healing into my practice. The ultimate goal is to be a private therapist, doing individual, couples, marriage, sexuality. So folks that suffer from erectile dysfunction disorder, all the way from sexual trauma, to BDSM and kink community in that lifestyle, folks that experience gender dysphoria and struggling with sexuality and identity, gender identity. That's my niche, or that's the niche that I foresee myself practicing in. And I think that in all of those things I noted, there's trauma behind all of that. Just about everybody has experienced some form of trauma, and however they perceive that and situate that in themselves and their bodies, I think is the important piece, rather than labeling things as what we deem as traumatic events and things like that. So I kind of struggle a little bit with like how we use like cognitive behavioral therapy, how we use solution-focused methods, how we use mindfulness-based practices, how we use genograms, how we use like family-based interventions and systematic approaches and things like that, and how that might translate in the work. And I think watching continued therapy sessions where people are using the theoretical approaches has been one of the most pivotal and rewarding and informative elements of my journey in this work so far. So I very much appreciate reading the material and reading about how people apply the material, but I think watching it happen is something that is more solidifying for me, because I am like a visual, visceral, like feely, touchy, experiential learner. Video is able to capture that a little easier for me than reading, understanding, applying, analyzing, integrating, all of that. And to continue a little bit about opportunities and challenges, I think that personally, all of us as practitioners have had to do this sort of self-healing work to get to where we are, and we still are going to be forever navigating that self-healing work. And doing that while also being a practitioner and a clinical social worker, I think is a challenge in itself. Understanding how that affects the work that we do with clients, that countertransference, transference piece. Yeah, I think there's many challenges, and I can continue on. Being broached with, this happened to me recently, a client who is 52 and is now, after watching several different pornographies that were trans women, is now finding himself, he identifies as he, him, attracted to trans women, and has never met a trans woman, has only communicated over like social media platforms and like bloggy type websites and things like that, and has this sort of lofty fantasy, but in reality hasn't thought about how meeting a trans woman might be, or how being intimate with a trans woman might be, and sort of meeting him in that perspective too, while also like acknowledging that that's beautiful, that you may now be finding yourself attracted to this person, but he's a human and has many layers to that. So this person's married, has practiced infidelity 3 times, is really struggling with coping with staying in this marriage that he's been trying to get divorced out of for 2 years, and is coping with alcohol. And in fact, I met this person and they were under the influence of alcohol, which is a no-go. There's no supporting people and loving people and helping uplift people when they're not in a clear mind space, or without an influence of a substance, It's just challenging. The work I think we do has many, many challenges, and it's interesting to sort of start exploring how that directly affects you as a provider. Like, how do you think that you should handle that situation? How do you actually handle it in the moment? Doing a lot of self-reflective work so that we're not hurting people. Like, I am not here to mentally harm anyone, and in fact I'd like to have this beautiful fostered like light energy that provides validation, provides support, provides love and compassion, and just holding a beautiful space for people to let go of the weight that they carry. And I know that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself as a provider, but I think that that's one of the key things of being a mental health practitioner, right? It's just, how do we take all of these wonderful things that we're learning, these thousands of dollars of money that we're spending on our education, and put it to actually working with people and helping people. I really hope to find a way to pull that stuff and like harness it. And I know I'm doing it. We are all doing it. It's just putting language behind the things that we're doing, in fact. So that's where I am. I really am excited for the semester. I'm energized. I've had a really difficult last couple semesters, and I really look forward to learning with you folks. And I'm getting excited to graduate, and we're almost there. So take care, everyone, and I'll be seeing you.